Alright guys, today we're taking a look at the S.H.FIGUARTS Nosferatu Zodd from the Berserk line. And if you've been following my reviews on this line so far, you'll know I skipped the last two releases, but loved the Berserk Armor Guts. The first two releases, Griffith and the Conviction Arc Guts, are beautiful to look at, but didn't really hold up in terms of playability. So with Zodd being a larger scale character, I'm hoping for that beautiful statue-like sculpt work with durable enough joints to hold up this bad boy in dynamic action poses. This is one that I'm super excited for, and for almost 150 bucks, I'm praying he won't be a disappointment. But before we go any further, if you enjoy this video at any point, hit that like button and leave us a comment. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing for more reviews and videos. And with that out of the way, here it is guys, the Beast Swordsman, the immortal one, S.H.FIGUARTS Berserk Nosferatu Zodd. Alright, so first things first, let's see how this beast of a figure compares to the other releases in the line. We got the first figure in the line, the Conviction Arc Guts on the right, and the White Falcon Griffith on the left. This is a big, hefty figure with all these sculpted muscles and popping veins you would want. The guys in charge of this Berserk line work closely with Studio Gaga, Miura's own production studio, so the sculpt work is impeccable. This is Zodd 2 years after the 5th eclipse, so if you've seen the original 1997 animation, this is how he appears after that part of the story. Zodd dons his waist armor, torso straps and belts, all molded in softer plastic to help with the movement. You've got that beautifully sculpted skull centerpiece painted in gunmetal and metallic red for those eyes. All the studs, buckles, and armor plating are painted in that same gunmetal silver, and there's a darker wash over the mid-torso armor to give it more depth and really bring out those individual armor plates. The entire body is also covered with shading to highlight the musculature, so it's a little bit disappointing that his fur boots didn't get some highlights or a wash. Still, this is an amazing looking figure with some fantastic sculpt work and paint apps. I guess we could have talked about this in the accessory section, but I love this fur cape. This could have easily turned out horribly with the material being way too thick or the fur just falling apart, but it's holding up really well. It's got that right thickness, and the bendy wires help it drape when you need it to, or hit those in action blowing in the wind poses. But the absolute best part of the cape are these cute little paws. I'm guessing from a bear or some kind of animal Zodd skin to make this cape. As you would expect, the face looks just as good as the rest of the body. Lots of sculpted details, nice paint apps with the mouth, the teeth, his scar on the right side of his forehead, and those piercing red apostle eyes. We get 3 options for faceplates, including a neutral glare, a teeth-gritting expression, and my favorite of the 3, an all-out war-crying shout. I think it would have been nice to get a bit of a wash over his hair, maybe some highlights, but other than that, really good-looking head sculpts and faces. Alright, so let's take a look at Zodd's articulation, starting off with the head, and he looks up really well. Not that he'd have to look up to anybody in the series too much anyway, but yeah, he does look up really well, and looks down very nicely as well. You get great side-to-side head tilt and left and right swivel as well. So thick, huge neck there, but we do get some really good range with the head. And a lot of that has to do with this really great independent neck joint. So fantastic. For shoulders, you can see here that you can see the joint here, and the way that they've done the shoulders here is very similar to the recent One Piece line, where basically it's a joint in the shoulder, and the shoulders here are sculpted on top, kind of like a cup. And, you know, straight on, it looks fantastic. Like, it's a really nice silhouette. It doesn't really break up the sculpt that much, you know, until you look up here at the top, but it doesn't, the way that they've sculpted the arms, the way that it goes in like that, Zodd unfortunately doesn't have the greatest range, you know, going up and out. So that's as far as you'll get, which is a little bit disappointing, but I don't know. Could they have done something like this? Here I have Dragon Ball Super Broly,
which is, you know, they're similar sizes. I don't have Broly's head on at the moment. I actually currently have Broly's head on another figure. I was doing some kind of photo shooting, but that's beside the point. But here you can see this is like your traditional shoulder joint, where it's kind of on like a swivel ball joint. It connects to the body and then it swivels up and down. And I can understand what they were going with here. I guess the team who are in charge of the Guts line wanted to make this obviously as aesthetically pleasing as possible. And from the front, it does again look really nice. From the back, it looks really nice, like it's one solid piece. But unfortunately, it just doesn't get enough range. And I don't know, maybe this would have been a better choice. I'm not sure, but yeah. Going back to the shoulders, you do get a really smooth 360, which is nice. You do have a bicep swivel. He does have double jointed elbows. You do get a swivel at the wrist. And of course, a hinge, a really good hinge actually, a very deep hinge there at the wrist as well. So moving on to the torso articulation, unfortunately all of this stuff that you see here, the straps, the body armor, the belts, it does hinder the articulation significantly. I think with what they had to work with, they did a pretty good job. You know, all of this stuff here is separate and they are made from softer rubbery plastic, but you're not going to get too much range with all of this stuff in the way. So in terms of ab crunch, that's as far forward as you're going to get. That's as far back as you're going to get. You know, there is a bit of movement left and right, you know, in terms of tilt. You do get a decent enough swivel there at the waist, but that's pretty much it. Moving on to the legs, you do get a really good splits, which is nice. Kicking forward, kicking back is pretty good. So there is decent range there with the legs. You do have a thigh cut there, double knees, which goes past 90 degrees, which is great. There is a swivel there at the ankle. The foot goes down a decent amount and it goes up about this much. Not the greatest. You do have a toe hinge and some decent ankle pivot. So I mean, all in all, I think the shoulders could have been better, but all things considered, with the design of this figure, it's still pretty good and you can still get some, you know, really great dynamic poses from it. It's just a little limited in the torso region and with the shoulders going up. For accessories, it's not an overwhelming amount, but we do get what's essential. For hands, it's a pair of skull pulverizing fists, a set of stylized skull crushing open palm hands, and 2 hands for wielding his one-handed battle axe and giant cleaver style sword. The sword and axe have some nicely sculpted details. You get your kinks and scratches on the blades, painted in a glossy gunmetal silver. The handle of the axe is removable and the butt of the sword comes off as well, so you can slide them easily into the hands. Zodd also comes with a pair of crossed arms that attach via the shoulders, so you do have to remove both arms first. It does take a bit of force at the right angle, but once you get them out, you're left with 2 joints still stuck in the body, and it's just a matter of getting the joints to stay straight while you push the crossed arms in. It's a little fiddly, and to be honest, it's not the most fun to swap out, but the result looks pretty clean. If you have Zodd wearing his fur cape, it's best to put on the cape after and slide the little tassels in through the arms. I think the limited shoulder articulation makes it this close from blowing me away. The sculpt work, the detailing, the paint apps, the cute but effective fur cape, beautiful. Absolutely what I expected from this line. The figure itself, great, big, chunky, strong joints. But when we're going over that $100 mark, almost $150 price tag, I want to be wowed. And like I said, I'm 90% there. I just wish the shoulders worked a little bit better.
At this price point, he can't just look fantastic, but he needs to move fantastic as well. With all that said and done, this is still a fantastic looking figure with some amazing shelf presence. Bring on those bigger characters. Bring on Zodd in his Beast Apostle form. Bring on this Skull Knight. I want them all. The Berserk line just needs a little bit more of that articulation influence from other more action-based lines. We have Golden Arc Guts coming up this year, and I'm pretty sure Casca will follow up really soon. So we'll just have to wait and see if those figures can make those articulation improvements. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. I'll be back with the S.H.FIGUARTS Naruto Tsunade next, so see you back for that one very soon. Remember to do those push-ups, and as always,
よろしく